One of the things that we did in Hawaii was we made affordable housing illegal. The enemy is apathy. We don't build enough housing at all levels. If you wake up one day and you have 1,000 rules, you didn't pass them all today or yesterday. They happened over the span of decades. So for decades, we've been sleepwalking toward this housing crisis. The apathy today creeps in feeling like nothing can be done. But the truth is, things can be done. Look at the Kauhale we're in.
And this is what a unit looks like. The intent is to bring them together as a community. This area here is our first living space where the residents actually live. So they're all living in this unit. So you'll see some of the residents actually living in or moving around in some of these units. So we'll actually move down to B and we'll take a look at some of the spaces into the kitchens. So the residents share the spaces, and what they do is they can cook and clean. They clean their spaces together for the common kitchens and the living room space. They share it, but their individual sleeping areas is all their own. Restrooms, we have 5 bathrooms and 5 showers, always open. They go ahead and use them as they please. They clean up after themselves. And then on a weekly basis, they all clean the bathrooms and the showers together. And this is what a unit looks like. As you can see, the structure is individual, so their walls are not shared. They have their own covered area. They have a little drawer at the bottom. They get everything here. They have their AC, ceiling fans, very simple space.
Reminds me of a Japanese hotel room.
Really? I've never been to Japan. So.
It has enough space for everything you need. I do love the amount of storage space, where I've seen sometimes small units don't have the storage space planned right, but this is nice. Closet, the underbed storage is great.
They have access to all of these things themselves, utilizing the ACs and the fans. These walls do hold the cold air in very, very well, so they don't need the fans running at all times.
The heat of outside, we're in the middle of the afternoon and it's pretty hot outside.
Yeah.
And the AC wasn't on in here.
Nope.
But it's fine in here.
Yes.
That's amazing. The insulation is really doing its job.
We have 16 units in each individual, what we call cluster or pod. So there's 16 residents that share each space. Total units all the way throughout the project is 64. Each pod or cluster shares one common kitchen, one common living space, and then 5 showers and 5 bathrooms. We're way more than enough bathrooms and showers per 16 units.
Yes.
So I think the concept of us doing that is a lot of times when you have a toilet that goes down or shower that goes down, you need backups.
Yep.
We just kind of calculated one extra or a little bit extra, but we also have one ADA shower and one ADA bathroom stall, so kind of gave it a little extra.
Yeah.
The concept of this common area space here was just a kind of, as you notice inside of this space, actually, we don't have any Wi-Fi, we don't have any TVs. Okay. And that concept was actually to try and bring them out of their units. We don't want them to kind of isolate themselves as much as possible, and that's why we have the common area living space, which actually has the Wi-Fi inside of there. So there's TV and Wi-Fi in that space, which doesn't reach to their units and outside spaces. So the goal is for them to come out and enjoy a space with gathering with their other community members. So that's why we have a lot of these covered areas here. It's actually really nice to be outside and sitting outside in these gazebos. I mean, if you sit out here underneath these spaces, I mean, It's just really nice and cool. So it's really a nice space if you just want to stay out here. But that was the intention. The intent is to bring them together as a community, come outside and have a little gathering spot.
It all feels deliberate, where you have the mix of privacy
Yes.
and then something that you can share in common.
Yes.
and enough, I mean, not, you know, not 2 bathrooms, but
Yeah.
5 bathrooms, right? So they're sharing, but you're not feeling like
Yep.
everything is shared.
So we'll go take a look over here. This is our one of our ADA. That's our huge. Our
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I know the compliant door when I see one. Yeah.
And then this is our kitchen. Come on in.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, this is awesome.
Would you like a kitchen like this?
I would gladly take this kitchen.
We have an ice maker
Yeah.
because, you know, we've heard that ice was a big thing.
Yes.
One refrigerator, but we decided that since we had the first cluster of units, 2 refrigerators were preferably, and this is a freezer.
Got it.
So we decided to move this freezer into the common space and then get another refrigerator. So we have 2 refrigerators. So, you know, we figure out these kind of things once we kind of adjust to what's going on.
Yep.
So we're going to get second refrigerator and then keep the freezer. But other than that, I mean, like I said, you know, everybody's adjusting to how 2 stoves work perfectly fine, 2 microwaves work perfectly fine. Everybody's the feedback to the first batch of residents coming in is just amazing, you
Yep.
know, with the adjustment.
And it is nice and cool in here too.
AC and almost
It
everything.
is not too hot in the kitchen.
AC and everything. The one unique thing that I did not show you, which works, everybody works very well with, is these doors.
Yeah.
They actually open up into the outer space.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It actually brings this space to be so much bigger.
Got it.
So your residents can walk out. We could have a, you know, a bench in the middle.
Yeah.
That door does the same thing. They can walk straight across, back and forth. Our residents are allowed to have at least 1 pet.
Wow.
We do allow that only because a lot of challenges with residents is letting go their dogs,
Yes.
and they don't want to move in without them.
Yes.
So we at least allow at least 1 pet. So when we were building the project, we placed our laundry room here.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up having this whole big empty spot here. And they asked me, what are we going to do with this? And I said, we're putting a dog park, guys. And they're like, are we really? And I'm like, yes. I said, because we're going to have people at some time that's going to ask if dogs are allowed.
Yes.
And that's what's going to happen, you know.
This is so critical. We hear all the time about homeless people who will refuse shelters or refuse housing because they don't accommodate pets.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest tragedy. When they have an opportunity to have shelter, many of them, you know, they love their pets and they don't want to give them up. So
Yeah.
having them have this here, that's awesome.
Kīpūola is for anybody that is seeking housing or has any risk of homelessness, not necessarily been on the streets, but if they're approaching, you know, homelessness in any way. So for me, it could be like somebody that's couch surfing.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, a lot of people don't see that.
Yes.
A lot of people think that it's just people that you see on the streets.
Yes.
But it's really not. It could be someone that has been working, you know, a job, but is also in a car.
Yep.
That people don't see.
Think
you know.
about rungs on a ladder where we have transitional housing or emergency housing
Yep.
at the very bottom. And then oftentimes there's nowhere to go after that, right? Where do you go when you're sort of stable, but you're not really ready to afford full rent?
Yep.
And that's, I think, the problem where those people, they end up homeless again.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. You know, there's a lot of people that are even what they used to call that are, you know, not necessarily low income. They're even people that are just barely making ends meet, that can't even
Yes.
barely barely afford their rent and food on their
Yep.
table that are still can possibly qualify for this.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so I mean, you can't even put a number to what we're looking at. You know, our affordable housing market is just not affordable.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it.
Yes. No, there's that rung, there's nothing at that price. And so you have people ending up cramming 4 in a bedroom or something to make it work.
Yeah.
But if you had a smaller space and you had shared kitchens and shared bathrooms, you could bring in the cost at that price. And then somebody has the independence. They're not worried about where they're going to sleep tonight or tomorrow night. Some of them, if they're working, they can start to save money
Yep.
and actually get ready for the next steps. Village is not the best translation, but it is a translation of thinking, how do you have housing in a community? And at the beginning of sort of the Kauhale push, I think people were thinking in terms of housing for homeless people. I think the concept is a bit broader than that. It's really thinking about how do you design intentional communities that are affordable by design as well. And so sitting in the middle of this Kauhale and kind of seeing the more mature version of the idea, where you're not just putting up structures, but you're thinking about how does this community not only support community today, but prepare people to live in communities in the future and to integrate into others. It's the kind of community that I would have loved to live in as a young single man. It's a community that I think my mom, as a retired senior, could easily live in. And if you think about those two extremes, right? A young single person, an old retired person, there's so many people in between there, regardless of how much money people are earning, right? Whether they're coming off the streets and they have no income, low income, even middle income people who just need a place to rest their head, a community to be a part of. This is a great solution. And I'm jealous. I live on Oahu now. I want one of these on Oahu. I want a bunch of these on Oahu. And I'm hoping that we can build more.